Welcome back to the Best Today podcast. I am your host, Shantae Grant, and this is episode 193. Today, I want to share a bit of what's been on my mind when it comes to social media and media in general. So let's get started. Welcome to the Best Today podcast. I'm your host, Shantae Grant, creator of the Best Today Guide and owner of the Best Today brand, where we equip women with resources to help you show up as your best one today at a time. If you're ready to trade chaos, comparison, and busy for intentional living, you are in the right place. We believe that intention begins with first knowing who you are and what you want. Here on the podcast, we'll have conversations together about topics that matter to you on the journey of becoming, because we know that being your best leads to doing your best. So welcome to the podcast created to help women all across the globe proclaim, this is what my best today looks like. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Best Today podcast. I am your host, Shantae Grant. And today I want to share a few things with you. I'm going to start by reading something that I wrote over on my Substack for those on the journey. If you're not subscribed, we have it linked right here wherever you're listening. Scroll down and click and you can subscribe. So every time I write, you receive that writing via email. And I also record every writing as well, so you can listen to me. Particularly great if you think you're going to miss listening to me here on the podcast. As we announced last week, the podcast is coming to an end when we hit 200 episodes at the end of this year, December of 2024. And so today I want to share something I wrote called Feasting on Soundbites and Unmet Desires. Recent Reflections Part 1. And by the time this comes out, Part 2 likely will have already published, so you can go and read and or listen to that there as well. Again, you can go to forthoseonthejourney.com to subscribe. But I've just had so many. So we did let me just start from the very beginning or the middle. This past July, we did our third annual social media reset. And every single time we do it, it is always enlightening, eye-opening, and just really, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to just step away. Not only me as, that I can do that at any time, but with a group of people, my audience, our community. And every time I come back with just even more thoughts, insights into social media, and this time has been no different. However, right before I left, I really was enjoying social media. But the more I have the opportunity to work with other people and see some of the effects of media in general, I just really felt, I don't even really know the word, a number of things. And so I took pen to paper or fingers to keyboard and I wrote these words that I'm going to read to you from there. And then I'm going to come back after I read them and I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about a few other things that have just been on my mind. And then I'm going to invite you to join us in December of this year for our first ever December social media reset. So that means we've done it now twice this year. We'll do it twice this year. I'm going to invite you to join us in closing out this year with one less thing in your mind, in your ear, and that is social media. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's start with some of the words that I wrote here on For Those on the Journey. I see a society, a culture of humans who have become borderline obsessed with sound bites. A thought shared here, a snippet shared there, something that sounds like wisdom, but can't be fully fleshed out beyond a thread or caption. These collective sound bites live within our phones through apps and have distorted reality for many. I liken it to this. You walk by a bakery making fresh breads, and rather than enter in to eat the bread, you're satisfied with taking in only the sweet smell. Somehow you've convinced yourself that the heavy whiff of the aroma from the bread will fill you the same way that digesting the bread would. Sound bites are the aroma, enticing, fleeting, and when taken without the proper context and fleshing out, lack substance and leave you hungrier than you were before you encountered it. I see a culture that feasts on sound bites without seeking the depth and understanding, or lack thereof, of the things being said or shown. Reading or listening to sound bites of a sermon doesn't have the same effect as or replace opening God's word for yourself. Liking the threads of a therapist is not the same as doing the necessary work of self-discovery and self-awareness to learn how your habits and choices may be the thing working against you. The smooth alliteration of an eloquent entertainer or speaker does not mean that their words are sound or apply to your life. I have to wonder for some, do people enjoy being deceived? Is the deception and distraction of social media the balm that many believe will cure the aches of life? The diet of hollow words makes you think that you know more than you do. It makes you feel as though you are growing more than you are. And in reality, many are left discontented with themselves and their lives simultaneously. Secondly, I see a feasting on unmet desires. I see a people who are so unhappy with their own relationships that they spend more time looking at online relationships and calling them hashtags goals, rather than pursuing the relationships in their own life, including the one with self, with the limited time and energy they are given each day. Humans today will look at the trips, perfectly maintained homes, and possessions of others and allow their level of hatred for their own life to grow in disproportion to the love that they have for their own life and the people, places, and things within it. And it creeps in slowly and so subtly that you don't recognize that it's happening until it's happened. It's not until you're frustrated and can't explain why you're discontent in nearly every area of your life. You can't be satisfied no matter how much you seek it through things. You find yourself trying to replicate pieces of so many people that you don't recognize the jigsaw puzzle of a person looking at you in the mirror. I recently read these words by Priscilla Shirer. She says that this steady diet of unclaimed desire leads to a level of disdain for our current circumstances. Caught in this vicious cycle, we consequently feel incomplete and substandard, unhappy, ungrateful, unfulfilled. This unbridled obsession with looking to the lives of others, having a say and opinion about everything except the matters of your own life, and constant need to know things that quite frankly are not your business is deteriorating the emotional health and stability of adults. And if our adults, then also our children. Not only because we lead by example, but also because we hand these things down, whether intentionally or unintentionally, to the children we are raising, teaching, and have influence over. Social media is doing its job of distracting you, shortening your attention span, manipulating your desires, and helping you to avoid the real matters that are pressing in your life, while simultaneously making you think that the sound bites are causing personal depth and growth, so you'll stay on longer for the distraction, the seeds of discontentment, and telling you that every problem you have can be solved by ordering this item online. Experiencing a life of daily peace and joy doesn't sell. No one wants to watch that on television or read that book. Living slow and simple lives in community with people we love and share values with seems to pale in comparison with the fast-paced, bedazzled life of the Instagram rich and famous. And the message is clear. Who you are today is not enough. You need this or that to travel here, achieve this milestone, start a business, monetize. It's easier for you to tell me what you like about a stranger that you follow than to tell me 2 things you love about yourself. I've seen it time and time again. With your own life, all you see is the not enoughness, but everyone else seems to have the Goldilocks amount. Comparison is the thief of self. And as I see it, we're living in a time where full-grown adults have no clue who they are outside of degrees, titles, follower counts, and accolades. The truth of the matter is that there's no one on earth like you. You were born with something that no one else has, and it is impossible to fully cultivate that in your life when you're distracted and unfocused. It is hard to keep pace when your diet is so full of fumes, the sound bites, opinions, and shared lives of others. Now, I write and say this as someone who enjoys sharing parts of my life with others, and I'll talk more about this. But these words that I'm sharing are not a criticism to any particular human, but to a system that has been created that I want to call your attention to in order for you to see if you have fallen prey to it or how much you've fallen prey to it. I see a world filled with intelligent adults who have lost sight of themselves. As someone who enjoys sharing with my audience, I have to ask myself, how do I share without participating in the distraction-filled false reality of social media? Well, one solution has been to turn inward to my own community, the Best Today community. A second has been to significantly reduce my social media presence, which was already very minimal to begin with, and create spaces where those interested in what I have to say can find me without distraction, like my Substack, for those on the journey, the Best Today community, my invitation to abide Substack, and this podcast. And lastly, I work to ensure that when I do share that there is substance, that the spirit behind my sharing is to encourage, to teach, to reflect joy, peace, health, truth, and intentionality. But I will say, this is a nuanced space that I am in lately, and I do not have all of the answers as of yet. When I sit and I reflect and I look at the real humans I have been able to work with and help over the years, over the past decade, I see so many stories of loss of seeing self, and I see how media has played a vital role in much of it. The aroma of freshly baked goods is undeniably appealing. It gets your attention the second it hits your nose. But we cannot be a people who are satisfied with something that cannot fill you and is of no substance. However, there must be an awareness that the aroma lacks substance, right? The sound bites, the snippets, the reels, the threads in and of themselves are not necessarily the sole culprits, but how they have been used and manipulated in a larger system to distract, to breed discontentment, excessive consumption, and unhealthy comparison is a problem. These words and reflections may not be true for you, but if they are, if somewhere within these words you saw yourself being discussed or described, I am thrilled for you because now you are called into action. You can recognize the influence and release yourself in a way that will work for you. You can examine your relationship with social media or just media in general. And more importantly, begin to think about the places and spaces that need your time and energy more than social media. You can stop feasting on sound bites and unmet desires and do something about the beautiful life you've been given because your own bread is worth savoring. At Best Today, we exist to help women just like you be your best one today at a time. So each week on the podcast, we are going to highlight your stories and your voices. So let's see what's in the inbox today. I am so excited to share with you and celebrate one of our own Best Today community members, Toby, who recently shared with us these words. I passed my boards, all caps. I'm officially a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. When I tell you this was work, this took me nearly 6 years. 6 years for a 2-year master's degree. I decided to go part-time 4 years. I took a break when I got pregnant with my third daughter, second one in the program. And now, almost 6 years later, I graduated with an MSN in April. I'm finally a licensed PMHNP. I think Shantae saw me through most of it since COVID-ish. Brutal is not the word, but I'm so grateful. So grateful. I came out stronger, prouder, marginally smarter, and so much more grateful for my limitations and simple, slow life. I've been married 7.5 years by now. I have 3 adorable, crazy girls, and I'm healthier, happier, more content and settled than I've ever been, and my marriage is thriving. Nothing fell into place. I've been slowly, very, very slowly putting things in the right places, and here we are. Best Today has literally been a lifesaver going through this journey. I'll probably write up something longer and maybe more eloquent, but when I say that Best Today can get you your best today, it's the truth. And my best today wasn't pretty. It was chaotic, full of debt, maxed out credit cards, crying, struggling, questioning, hurting, and more struggle. But it was absolutely intentional every step of the way. So grateful to you, Shantae. Toby, we are so thrilled for you. Number one, thank you for sharing this with us. Thank you for allowing me to share it with the podcast community after you shared it in the Best Today community. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for continuing on, pressing on, even though the way in which you accomplished this didn't, one, look like how most people do it, and 2, didn't even look the way you originally planned. You kept going. You kept coming back to the Best Today principles, and you kept coming back to your Best Today products. You're showing us in the community how the products are helping you to take one today at a time. And for that, we celebrate you. So if you're listening to this and you are in the Best Today community, go find this post or just make a new one and celebrate Toby along with us. I thank you so much for allowing Best Today to be a part of this journey. And I thank you for the honesty in this. I believe, and the reason I really wanted to read this is I believe so many people can resonate and even find themselves within this, understanding that getting to the place where you want it to may change somewhere in the journey, may have a lot of hard things, chaotic things, unexpected things. But at the end, you understand that all of that helped to shape who you are at the end. And for that, you are more likely better for it. And so we just celebrate you, Toby. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. If you are not a member of the Best Today community, be like Toby. Get surrounded by a community of women who can help you through things like this life, because this is just a story that is full of life, not just a degree, not just passing the boards, not just being a licensed PMHNP, not just being all these things, a wife, a mom, a human, but how you can be all those parts of you and support it in a community. I believe this is evidence of that. And so it has been a joy to celebrate you, to encourage you along the way, to provide resources for you, Toby. And we celebrate you today here on the Best Today podcast every day in the community. And thank you for allowing me to share your story, a part of it, with the world. I know some woman listened to those words today and it freed her. So thank you. And thank you again for listening to me as I share the stories of real humans who are making Best Today. Like she said, Best Today can really help you to get to your best today and understand that for all of us, it looks so different. So we celebrate you, Toby. If you would like to join us in the Best Today community, we have it linked right here in the notes. Come join this community of women so that we can support you through whatever your story and your journey at this point looks like. Linked right there in the profile, or you can go to besttodaycommunity.com. So I wrote those words or published them on September 4th, 2024. And I really haven't been able to let them go ever since, because I know how important they are. And just last week, I saw someone asking on social media, she was sharing that she gets anxiety when she gets on social media because she continues to be fed information about one particular topic, and that topic makes her think about something constant. Let me just, tell you. So she was saying every time she gets on the app, she's seeing someone talking about perimenopause or complaining about perimenopause. And she's a younger woman in her early 30s, married, no children as of yet, that we know of that she shared with the internet. And she was just saying it just makes her think about her like declining fertility just in being like a human in her 30s. And I listened to her share that, and she just wanted to know if anyone else in her audience had that experience. And I was thinking about, again, kind of in line with the sound bites, but not even that, but I am confident in this conclusion that I've come up with, and that is that you cannot learn anything in depth on social media. And I'm going to stand 10 toes down on that, and here's why. First, you get a lot of sound bites. Even if you think about something as simple as a recipe. Yes, you can find out what food parts to buy. You can find out maybe a video and see the steps that they put them in. You may even get the measurements. But if you were to go to a good food blogger or recipe developer's website, you're not just going to get the food item and the quantity and the steps. You're going to get tips. You're going to get how do you reheat this? Is this good to be frozen? You're going to learn a method of doing X, Y, and Z. And before you season this, maybe try this. The internet is not the place to come to learn. And when I say the internet, social media is not the place to come to learn. And I think people have made the mistake to think that when they're sitting there, they're actually getting substance. Kind of going back to what I was saying, right? You think you're getting substance that's going to stick to your bones, but that's why people are so frustrated and ignorant, is because they're taking all these little peoples. This doctor says you should not drink almond milk. This one says you should only drink almond milk. This one says stop lifting heavy weights. And this one says only lift heavy weights. This one says one thing. And it's like, first of all, I wouldn't listen to a single doctor that has not looked at my body, because chances are what might be true for your practice, for the people you see, may not be true for me and my body. And so I think if we could also learn the lesson that social media is not the place for you to go and fix your life, right? There are places and resources in your real life that can be far more helpful. And so I think when we learn that, we can let go of all the different things we see and start making them our reality. Also, you control the algorithm to an extent. If you feed into looking at a topic, it's going to keep feeding it to you because its whole goal is to keep you there, right? And another thing, and it's the truth about social media, is it's now part of its job is to play on your insecurities and your fears, knowing that it's going to keep you there because we have this negativity bias. I have a podcast episode on it here on the podcast, that it's something about it that continues to suck you in. And how it keeps you there is it doesn't leave you to the point where you're so low on the ground that you just can't make it. But right before you get there, you get in this mix of levity, a cute little video, a little dance here or there. They mix it in with the levity so that you think the joke is worth the poison that it's contained in. And it's like, okay, well, if this life-saving medicine, or if I have this medicine, but it's contained in a pool of vial that I will die in trying to get to the medicine, that medicine may not be worth it. I might want to see if I can find that medicine somewhere else in my own life. If I can find that medicine in a container that isn't going to kill me on the way. It's the sound bites. People are dieting on these sound bites and walking around starving. But the scary thing is they think they're fed. And that's more dangerous than a starving person, right? Someone who thinks they're full, but they're empty is far more dangerous than someone who is empty and recognizes it. And so I just want to leave for you today to think about, perhaps don't get on social media when you're hungry. And I'm not talking about for food, when you're hungry for attention, for love, for acceptance, for friendship, for affection, for information. That's not the function or purpose of social media. It is not created to give you accuracy or depth. It's created to give you soundbite after soundbite after soundbite so that you can feel less pleasure in your own existence, but stay there and loathe in it. That's what a lot of it is created to do or has become. And because it's been successful in doing that, it's going to continue. Now, does that mean every person on social media is lurking and has this evil agenda? No. Remember, I said I have accounts. I have an Instagram account, right? That bears my name. But what I'm telling you is like for me and me, I am not ever going to say, hey, y'all, meet me on Instagram and we're going to be there for a long time. I'm going to post maybe occasionally. And you know what? That might change. But every time I'm posting, posting to point you back to truth, to joy, and usually away from Instagram. Hey, let's finish this conversation over in the Best Today community. You can read more over on my Substack for those on the journey. Hey, this is what's on the podcast this week. You can go there and listen. I'm taking you to a place that doesn't have the heaping amounts of the poison. In fact, I'm taking you to places that I've built that are poison free, right? Doesn't mean it's for you. But for the people who it is for, it's there and it's in a safe, contained place, right? So like I said, my stance for now is when I do use it is to lead you off of it. But it's not the environment or the setting where and my Apple Watch wants to join the conversation, but it's not the environment or the setting or place where I'm going to ask you to stay for a prolonged period of time. And those are just some of the thoughts. I have a part 2 coming. And again, when this podcast releases, it should have been published by now. You can go read that as well. And that's a number of other thoughts that I've had. I've been thinking about this concept of just also social media like eroding the intimacy and the sacredness of our real life in-person relationships and so many other things. But I'm thinking about them out loud, sharing with you in real time, just what I'm processing and how that's affecting how I'm choosing to do life and business. And I thank you for listening. I thank you for being present with me for this episode of the Best Today podcast. And again, if you missed the announcement last week in episode 192, please go listen. We are in our final season of the Best Today podcast. We will be closing out at the end of this year with our 200th, which is really our 400th episode, since this podcast was previously Business, Life, and Joy. And that was 200 episodes and now 200 episodes of Best Today. So please make sure we stay connected by subscribing to my online Substack, which is where I read from today. For those on the journey, you can sign up right here where you're listening. Just click the link. We have it and it'll say subscribe to For Those on the Journey. And every time I write, it will come to your inbox. And I also record them all so you can still hear my voice. And if you're a woman who desires to live a life of joy, health, and intention, I want to invite you to join me in the Best Today community, which is also linked here. And the community is where I spend my time and energy in weekly lives, quarterly planning sessions, monthly focus first calls, and more. So I'd love to see you there. But until then, I thank you for being a Best Today podcast listener. I'm so grateful for you, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. I'll see you in the community, and I'll be talking to you on For Those on the Journey. Bye for now. This podcast is provided for you every week by Best Today, where we are on a mission to help you to live and work well. We do this by creating resources that bring intention to how you plan, schedule, work, and live. You can get started in one of 3 easy ways. First, by taking our product quiz at besttoday.co/quiz. 2, joining us in our online community, the Best Today community, at besttoday.co/community. Or 3, connect with us through email at besttoday.co/email, all of which are linked below in the show notes. To learn more about our company and what we do, visit besttoday.co and join thousands of customers around the world pursuing a life of intention, one today at a time.